You get him a phone? God, you're so cheap, my sister sneered. I'm done, I said, taking back my gift and walking out. By morning, my phone exploded with texts. I never thought I'd have to choose between my financial future and my sister's family, but last month, I finally took back my life after years of being their personal ATM. The breaking point wasn't some massive betrayal or a single unforgivable act. It was a moment of pure entitled disrespect that made 10 years of resentment crystallize in an instant. My name is Morgan. I'm 32, single, no kids, and until recently I was the unofficial sponsor of my sister Terry's lifestyle. She's 36 with a 16-year-old son, Noah. What started as occasional help for a struggling single mom became a decade-long drain that nearly destroyed my financial future. But when my teenage nephew threw a tantrum over getting just an iPhone instead of a luxury car for his birthday, something inside me finally snapped. The path to becoming my sister's piggy bank started innocently enough. When Noah was 6, Terry lost her job and needed help with rent for a couple of months. Of course I stepped in. She's my sister and Noah was just a little boy. 2 months turned into 6. 6 months turned into a year. Before I knew it, I was covering not just emergencies but regular expenses. $1,400 for rent, $350 for utilities, $500 for groceries, $400 for Noah's activities. Every single month. Meanwhile, I lived in a cramped one-bedroom apartment, drove a 10-year-old Toyota, and pushed back my own dreams. No house down payment. Minimal retirement savings, no exotic vacations, just the quiet satisfaction of knowing I was helping family. At least that's what I told myself to justify the constant drain. What made it worse was watching Terry's choices. She'd find jobs but quit when they became too stressful. She'd date men who contributed nothing. She'd come home with designer bags while I was eating ramen to make up for the money I'd sent her. Each time I tried to discuss finances, she'd cry about how hard it was being a single mom, how Noah needed stability, how she was doing her best. And our parents, they enabled the whole thing. Morgan, you're so blessed with your career. Terry needs more help with Noah, he's just a child. Never mind that I worked 60-hour weeks to climb from entry-level to senior management while Terry called in sick whenever she felt like sleeping in. The demands grew like weeds. First it was just rent. Then it was utilities, then it was Noah's sports equipment, then it was braces, then it was a small loan for a car down payment. None of these loans were ever repaid. Each time I hesitated, the emotional manipulation would start. I guess Noah just won't have Christmas this year, or we'll just have to live in our car, but that's fine. I almost broke free 3 years ago. I'd saved for months to take a dream trip to Japan, somewhere I'd wanted to visit since college. 2 days before my flight, Terry called crying that they were being evicted. I canceled my non-refundable trip and sent her $3,000. Later I discovered the eviction notice was actually just a late rent reminder, and she used most of my money for a weekend spa trip with her friends because she needed to de-stress. Still I stayed, still I paid, until Noah's 16th birthday. I'd saved for months to buy him the latest iPhone. $1,200 isn't small change, especially on top of the $700 I'd already spent on the party Terry insisted Noah deserved: venue rental, catering, decorations. Things he wouldn't have had without my checkbook. I was excited to give him something special, something he'd been hinting about for months. The party was in full swing when Noah opened my gift. The bright blue Apple box sat in his hands for maybe 2 seconds before his face twisted into a look of pure disgust. An iPhone? Seriously? He looked around at his friends, then back at me with pure contempt. Jake's parents got him a BMW for his birthday. I thought you were getting me a car. What am I supposed to do with another phone? The room went silent. My cheeks burned as 24 teenagers and parents stared at me, but it wasn't Noah's reaction that broke me. He was a teenager after all. It was what happened next. Terry laughed, actually laughed. Well, what did you expect him to say? You make 6 figures and you get him a phone. Everyone knows sweet 16 means a car. God, you're so cheap and clueless. 10 years of resentment crystallized in that moment. The room faded away as memories flashed through my mind. Terry showing off her new highlights while I postponed dental work I couldn't afford. Noah carelessly breaking the iPad I'd scraped together to buy him for Christmas, then shrugging it off because Aunt Morgan will just get me another one. My parents' disappointed looks when I said I couldn't host Thanksgiving because I was picking up extra shifts to cover Terry's property tax bill. Something cold and hard settled in my chest. My hands stopped shaking. The noise in my head went quiet. I reached out and took the iPhone from Noah's hands. Actually, Noah, I think I'll keep this. Seems like you don't need it. My voice was steady, almost unrecognizable to my own ears. And starting today, I'm done financially supporting both of you. Terry's laugh cut off abruptly. What? You heard me. I'm done. No more rent payments, no more utilities, no more cash transfers, nothing. You can't be serious. We depend on you. Her voice pitched upward, panic replacing her earlier smugness. You've depended on me for 10 years. That ends today. My parents stepped in then, my mother's face flushed with anger, my father's with shock. Morgan, you're overreacting, Mom hissed. It was just a misunderstanding. Noah's just disappointed. No, Mom, this isn't about the iPhone. This is about 10 years of taking advantage of me, 10 years of ungratefulness, 10 years of sacrificing my future for people who see me as nothing but an ATM. How dare you? Terry's voice had reached that familiar shrill pitch she used whenever she was about to get her way. After everything I've been through as a single mother, after all the sacrifices I've made. The old me would have backed down, apologized, written another check. Instead, I picked up my purse and headed for the door. Send the guests home, Terry, party's over. I walked out of the restaurant to the sound of my sister screaming that I was ruining everything. For once, I didn't look back. That night, I blocked their numbers, poured myself a glass of wine, and did something I'd been putting off for a decade. I made a comprehensive financial plan for my future, my retirement, my house down payment. The sudden absence of a $2,650 monthly Terry and Noah-shaped hole in my budget made the numbers look almost miraculous. By morning, my inbox was overflowing. Texts and voicemails had piled up on my blocked devices. Flying monkeys had been dispatched, cousins, aunts, family, friends, all telling me how cruel I was being, how family should support family, how Terry and Noah would be homeless without me. I ignored them all and drafted an email. Terry, this email serves as formal notice that I will no longer be providing financial support of any kind. All previous monetary gifts were exactly that, gifts, not loans with expectation of repayment, though you've claimed they were loans when it suited you. For clarity, I will not be paying your July rent or any expenses going forward. I will not respond to financial emergencies. I will not be guilted, manipulated, or shamed into changing my position. I've supported you for 10 years while sacrificing my own financial security. That ends now. Morgan. I sent it, then called my bank to cancel all automatic transfers to Terry's accounts. I documented every gift, every transfer, every loan in case she tried to claim I owed her anything legally. Then I took a deep breath and did something radical. I scheduled a long overdue therapy appointment. The fallout was nuclear. Terry's landlord called me directly when her rent was late. Apparently I was listed as an emergency contact without my knowledge. I blocked his number too. My parents showed up at my apartment unannounced, my mother in tears, my father stone-faced with disappointment. She's going to be evicted, Morgan. Is that what you want, for your nephew to be homeless? Mom's voice broke on the word homeless, a calculated touch. Terry makes enough to cover rent if she budgets properly, I replied calmly. She has a job, she chooses to spend on luxuries before necessities. You know it's not that simple, Dad said. She's always struggled with money management. Yes, because everyone rushes in to fix her problems, not anymore, at least not by me. They left angry, but I stayed firm. My therapist called it a healthy boundary. I called it survival. 3 weeks after the birthday disaster, Terry, Noah, and my parents ambushed me at my apartment. Noah's eyes were red-rimmed, Terry looked disheveled, and my parents wore matching expressions of grim determination. You're destroying this family, Terry shouted the moment I opened the door. Noah's school called because his activity fees are past due, the landlord's threatening eviction, all because you decided to have some kind of psychotic break. I stayed calm. Those are your responsibilities, Terry, not mine. You've always helped us. You can't just stop because your feelings got hurt over some stupid birthday gift. Noah stepped forward then, eyes downcast. I'm sorry about the phone, Aunt Morgan. I was a jerk. I didn't mean it. His voice sounded rehearsed, empty. This isn't about the phone, Noah. This is about years of being taken for granted by all of you. My mother tried next, her voice soft and manipulative. We know you're upset, sweetie, but don't take it out on Noah. He's just a child. He's 16, Mom, old enough to understand that money doesn't grow on trees and that treating people with respect matters. The conversation spiraled from there. Terry threatened to tell everyone at my workplace that I'd abandoned my family. My father suggested I might have mental health issues. When nothing worked, they switched to begging, then back to threats. Finally, I'd had enough. You need to leave now or I'll call the police for harassment. You wouldn't dare, Terry gasped. I picked up my phone. Try me. They left, but the war was just beginning. Terry started a smear campaign on social media, painting herself as the struggling single mom abandoned by her heartless sister. Flying monkeys continued to call and text. Anonymous gift boxes of ramen noodles were delivered to my office with cards saying, "Thought you might need these since you're so broke you can't help family." I stayed silent and strong. I blocked, I documented, I focused on healing. The changes in my life were immediate and profound. Without the constant financial drain, I was able to increase my 401k contributions. I started seeing a financial advisor. I began house hunting. I slept better, the constant anxiety about Terry's next crisis finally lifting from my shoulders. Through mutual friends, I heard that Terry was finally facing reality. Her first wake-up call was having her electricity shut off for non-payment. Then came the late fees on every bill. Noah had to drop his expensive travel soccer team when she couldn't afford the fees. Most shocking of all, Terry had to take on extra shifts at work to make ends meet. 3 months after what my therapist and I now called the emancipation, I received an unexpected text from an unknown number. "Aunt Morgan, it's Noah, got a new phone number, can we talk?" After careful consideration, I agreed to meet him for coffee. The Noah who showed up wasn't the entitled teenager from the birthday party. This Noah looked tired. His designer clothes had been replaced with simple jeans and a plain t-shirt. He had a name tag from the local grocery store clipped to his backpack. "I got a job," he said, following my gaze to the name tag. "Been working there about a month now. It's just bagging groceries and cart return, but it's something." "That's good," I said, keeping my tone neutral. "I never realized," he started, then stopped, swallowing hard. "I never realized how much you did for us until it was gone. Mom always said you helped out sometimes, but I didn't know you were paying our rent, our utilities, my activities, everything. Your mom should have been honest with you about our financial situation." "She's mad all the time now," he said, staring into his coffee. "Blames you for everything. But last week I found all these shopping bags in her closet, stuff with tags still on that she bought right before my birthday, expensive stuff, when we could barely make rent." He looked up, his eyes surprisingly clear. "That's when I realized maybe it wasn't all your fault." We talked for an hour, really talked, possibly for the first time. I learned that Noah had quit the soccer team voluntarily when he realized how much it cost, that he'd sold his gaming system to help with bills, that he was saving half of every paycheck for college because he now understood that wasn't my responsibility. I didn't agree to resume financial support, but I did cautiously reestablish a relationship with my nephew. We met for coffee every couple of weeks. I helped him research scholarships. I taught him how to budget. The entitled child was growing into a thoughtful young man, courtesy of the real world. Terry remained another story. 6 months after the emancipation, she showed up at my apartment unannounced. She looked better than the last time I'd seen her, hair done, nails manicured, which immediately put me on guard. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," she said when I reluctantly let her in. "Maybe I did take advantage a little, but you could have talked to me instead of just cutting us off completely." No apology, no acknowledgement of the years of manipulation, just a subtle suggestion that I'd been the unreasonable one. "I tried talking to you, Terry, for years. You never listened." "Well, I'm listening now." She smiled her familiar, calculating smile. "Noah misses you, we both do. We're family, Morgan, we should be able to work through anything." "What exactly are you hoping to work through?" I asked, already knowing the answer. She had the decency to look slightly embarrassed. "Well, things have been tight, as you can imagine. Noah's college fund isn't growing like it should, and there's a program he wants to do this summer, really good for his college applications, but it's expensive." "No," she blinked. "I haven't even told you how much. It doesn't matter how much. The answer is no, I'm not financially supporting you or Noah anymore. But you're doing so well, it wouldn't even be a big deal for you." An apology without change is just manipulation, Terry. You haven't changed. You're still looking for handouts instead of solutions. She left angry, but I felt lighter than air. I'd faced her without crumbling, without guilt, without reaching for my checkbook. A year after the emancipation, my life is unrecognizable. I've closed on a beautiful condo. My retirement accounts are growing steadily. I'm dating someone who respects my boundaries and pays his own bills. I've even booked that trip to Japan, finally. Noah is thriving in his own way. He's working part-time, keeping his grades up, applying for scholarships. We have dinner twice a month, and he recently asked me to help him open his first investment account with his savings. The entitled teen is becoming a responsible adult. Terry lost her apartment and had to downsize to a smaller place in a less desirable neighborhood. She picked up more shifts at work out of necessity. According to Noah, she's still bitter and blames me for all her financial problems, but she's surviving. Sometimes that's the most loving thing you can do for someone. Let them face the consequences of their own choices. My parents remain caught in the middle. They still believe I should help Terry more, but they've stopped actively pressuring me. Last Christmas, my mother actually said something that gave me hope. Noah seems different, more mature. Maybe this whole situation has had some positive effects. It was as close to an acknowledgement as I was likely to get. The hardest lesson I've learned is that sometimes the most difficult boundaries to set are with the people we love most. For 10 years, I thought I was being kind, helpful, a good sister and aunt. In reality, I was enabling destructive patterns that hurt all of us. My financial support wasn't helping Terry become self-sufficient. It was teaching Noah that he deserved handouts. It was preventing both of them from experiencing the natural consequences of their choices. Sometimes love means saying no. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is stop rescuing people from their own decisions. I don't know what the future holds for my relationship with Terry. Perhaps someday she'll truly understand that my boundaries aren't punishment but protection for both of us. Until then, I'll keep living my life on my terms, saving for my goals and modeling financial responsibility for Noah. The chains of guilt and obligation that I carried for a decade have finally fallen away. I'm not just financially free, I'm free.